Hi everyone, I'm Rosemary Miller here with Paul Varacchi, a stunt performer for SAG-AFTRA, here to tell us how the actors and writers strike has affected WGA and SAG-AFTRA union members. Thank you so much for joining me today, Paul.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Paul, so not a lot of union members are actually doing interviews. Why are you speaking to the press?
I guess there's no reason in particular. I support the strike, so I guess I'm willing to talk about it. There are serious issues that we're fighting for. A few union members I know are doing interviews. I honestly have no idea. I can't speak for others.
I understand. Are you out striking right now?
I do during the week. I'm not right now. Right now, I'm just driving around running some errands for the house.
Okay. Well, Paul, could you tell us how this strike is really affecting people on an individual basis, on a human level?
I would say, on an individual level, again, I can really only speak for myself, but I think that it's affecting us, all financially. A lot of us, that work in production, it's not all glamour. It's probably about maybe 1% of us that actually make enough money to not have to worry about the strike. The rest of us work production to production, paycheck to paycheck, just like everybody else does. So, without productions going on, without paychecks coming in, everybody feels the pressure. It's rent, it's bills, it's, clothes for kids. All of these things are, weigh into effect when work's not coming in. And production is such a demanding job that not a lot of people that work in production do anything else because our days are so long and so unpredictable. So without this, there's nothing to fall on.
Is there a point where maybe this becomes unsustainable?
Again, everybody's situation is different. So, for me, I have some money saved up, but, I would say that, unsustainable, again, it's different for every person. So I really wouldn't know how to answer that. For me right now, it's sustainable. I'm okay. I have money saved up. Luckily I have past jobs that I can always fall back on for extra money, if I need to. So again, it's tough to speak for other people's experiences because, their side jobs, other jobs that they have, I really don't know about.
So
but I will say that without money coming in, most people are going to have to try and find jobs away from production if this strike, lasts longer and longer and longer, for sure.
Could you help me understand, and I'm truly just seeking to understand, what is it about the love of the craft that makes people want to risk their livelihoods for it? And I understand all too well about if you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. But what is it about the craft?
I can speak for myself, and there's, I was a chef for a long time, and there's something about when you put out a dish and people respond to it and people love it. When you're part of a show and you make that show and that show comes out and people love it and you're watching it with your friends and there's a certain scene that comes up and maybe you work that day and, they really, really like it. And, there's an internal gratitude that's like you can't get anywhere else. That I think comes with seeing a film completed on the levels of production that there are. It's definitely an accomplishment for each one that you work on.
Right. So you spoke about films being completed, and I'm curious because I'm not sure if you know the show Suits, but it's been thriving on Netflix, and Suits is an old show. So do you think this strike has the same impact today that it would have in maybe the 70s or the 80s?
Again, with, thinking, there's a lot to think about. A lot has happened since the 70s with technology and, what what makes a show, what you have to go through to complete a show. And again, I think, just like in the 70s and to now, it is the people behind the scenes that truly make the magic happen. So without us working, I think the strikes will have the same effect, because nothing is getting made and nothing is being done. All they can do is go backwards and rely on what they have stored. And that will eventually run out a lot quicker than they think. And I think they know that.
Yeah. Well, Paul, I understand you've talked about your own experience quite a bit. Are there any other experiences that you're willing to share? You don't have to name names, about how this strike is impacting people.
I mean, look, I know people that are talking about, having to sell their houses, having to pull their kids out of daycare, because they're at home. So they're like, well, why am I going to pay for daycare when, I'm staying at home? And it's a big expense. So people are really, I know people that are starting to change their way of life because of this strike. And not for, I don't want to say not for the worst, but they're definitely not doing it because it's the easy way.
So what are
they're doing it because they have.
What are the sentiments in Hollywood right now?
I think the sentiments in Hollywood for most people are the things that we're fighting for in the long run are worth the strike right now. Especially when it comes to stuff like AI. The future of that is less jobs for us if we don't fight for the right things right now.
Okay.
So I think that's a very important thing that we really look at, because when you make your money, if you're a background actor and you make your money doing background on big war scenes, or you're a stunt guy who they like to have big Civil War battles, let's just say, and then 2 episodes later they have another big Civil War battle, but instead of bringing people back in, they just take a different angle, switch it around, and put it in the background of the scene that they need, and now nobody gets that day of work, nobody gets residuals on the day of the show. And when you have to make a certain amount of money to get your health insurance, those days are really, really important to get you to that goal so you can keep your health insurance. This is also a big issue. So every day that we lose of work is possibly the next year that we don't qualify for health insurance. And then them finding a way to take away those days and save money and not even pay us residuals. Our residuals go towards our health benefits. So if even we would get residuals and a day's pay, they don't have to bring us back in, but they should at least pay us again if they're going to use us. And when they don't, we lose that day, and then we lose, it's harder for us to qualify for health insurance. And then, right now, I think 3 jobs a month would qualify you for health insurance. Anything less than that, you're going to have some hard times if you're not including your residuals.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Paul.
Yeah. No problem. Again, thank you for having me.